Mr. Happy Living here, and I'm happy to be broadcasting from WYTV7 in the beautiful Queen City of Charlotte, North Carolina. Hey friends, can you imagine how you'd feel living the life you were put on this planet to live, doing work you love, with people you love, in places you love, and all the while creating something of real value to others? It's what I call a life of significance. And I can tell you, it's a very happy life. And so can Dan Melton, and he's our guest star for today. Hey, Dan, welcome to the Something Significant show.
Hey, good, Matt. Thanks for having me on. It's great to be here.
Looking forward to it. So just get us started by telling our audience what you're doing these days to leave your mark of significance on the world.
Absolutely. So I'm on about a 1.5 year adventure. So it's a 20-foot shipping container, and the only prerequisite for it is the ability to have access to a healthy, fresh, sustainable water system. But once landed, we're able to telescope out a trellis and grow about 2,200 super nutritious plants every 60 days. And so we're looking primarily at the continent of Africa to deploy our product, but it's all about helping feed the 690 million people that go to bed hungry every night.
So it's a self-contained farming system.
It is. It's completely off the grid. And then the back of, so the 20-foot shipping container, the back 10 feet inside has a grow room, so we can go from seed to seedling, walk-in cooler, and a mechanical room housing the batteries, the inverters for the solar panels that are on top of the container. And so, you know, it's the harvest the 2,200 heads of super nutritious plants, put them in the walk-in cooler, and then reload those 60 grow tubes on that trellis that are coming out of the grow room. So we can get 6 crops per year. And again, each crop is about 2,200 plants. So, you know, just give us fresh water, and we're able to help feed a substantial number of people.
And what's the name of this system?
So the name of my company is Vertical Growth Farming Systems. To be honest, we're still working on a name for this kind of first flagship product. We're debating about Forager or Trailblazer or something. So when your listeners hear this, I mean, we're still open to suggestions. We don't have a name for the specific product as of yet.
Very good. All right, Dan. Well, that's very exciting. So let's take the next few minutes and let our audience get to know you through the mathematical equation of our happy formula. It's capacity plus purpose equals happy. So let's start with capacity. What are your personal practices for building your physical, mental, financial, spiritual, emotional capacities? In other words, Dan, what do you do to create all the capacity you need to take good care of yourself and your loved ones and still have plenty left over to give to others?
Well, that's a great question, Matt. So it's been interesting, this journey with the farming system I've been working on. I really feel today that my capacity it feels unlimited. And it's just an amazing, energetic, enthusiastic, you know, vehicle that it gives me the drive that I think I need to make this successful. But, you know, I've always been a healthy eater. And I exercise quite a bit. I'm 58 years old. I still play in a men's basketball league once a week. Tennis, golf, swimming, getting ready to take up pickleball. So sports is a part of that capacity. I'm very spiritual. I meditate. I have an amazing wife, my wife Tiffany. We've been just celebrated 8 years of marriage. It's both of our first marriage, and so those things definitely help me with capacity, and just feeling like my bucket is overflowing with opportunity and potential within myself.
Now, you mentioned unlimited energy, and I want to talk to you and have you talk to the audience about the difference between earthly energy. Those are things like physical fitness and mental fitness and financial fitness. Energies that once you use them, they have to be replenished versus spiritual energy that's infinite. And this is when you're madly in love with your wife or your work or where you live. It's where you just, the more you use it, the more you have of it. So talk about when you gleaned onto this idea and suddenly you're bounding with unlimited energy, as you called it.
Yeah, I mean, it's really been an amazing journey thus far in terms of really understanding, my path that I almost, people use the words calling. I really feel like, I'm here doing what I'm currently doing. And I've spent my whole life trying to get to where I am. And so, with that comes, the feeling of reward, personal reward. Like I just feel, so there's such a compelling drive in me that feels boundless. I mean, it's, I struggle to fall asleep virtually every night of my life for the last 18 months because I've just got so many things, almost all of them extremely positive, driving me. And of course, the downtime, you gotta take care of the mind and the body with ample rest, refuel it with good food. It's definitely, I've never had the feelings I'm having right now about my purpose, what I'm trying to get to, how I think I'm going to get to that purpose, fulfill my destiny, if you will. And it's just, man, it's, I feel like I'm 12 years old all over again with a new bicycle.
That's when you've found it. It's like love. People say, I don't know if I've ever really been in love. Well, then you haven't, because when you are, you know it. But Dan, before we move on to purpose, and I want to talk about purpose, let's explore an amazing capacity building concept called Kaizen. It's a Japanese idea that small incremental improvements add up over time to yield great big results. As a personal practice, it means that there's always something you can do better tomorrow than you did today. And I love it because it keeps me always moving forward in some way, every single day. So Dan, how do you apply Kaizen to improve your personal capacity to continuously become more so you can continuously give more?
So as one of my older brothers would say, live your life trending upwards.
Yeah.
Right. So, when those daily goals are met, you've got to raise the bar the next day to trend upward. I've been super fortunate in this journey, this current journey, to have relationships around me. Where I live here in California, we have Cal Poly. It's a great school, very bright young engineers and architects. And then the organizations like the World Food Program and UNICEF. I've been speaking with those organizations pretty much from the beginning, and all of those relationships have been beyond any shadow of a doubt very supporting of my endeavor. I mean, no one has said, I'm not really sure, or think I've seen it already. I mean, everyone can certainly appreciate, the world hunger disaster that's going on today. But for me, those incremental smaller steps are mostly done through the relationships I have on this project, and they give me their input, and then I take that and maturate it a little bit, and then tomorrow I'm going to take that and keep building on it. So it's been a building, to your point, some very small steps from day one. But when at some point we're going to have this behemoth, amazing, purpose. And so again, those small steps are really mostly just due to those exterior relationships that continue to help me and push me to keep moving forward.
Yeah, networking is a great way to illustrate the power of Kaizen, because it's one connection leads to another connection, and all of a sudden you've got this network of connections that you say, holy smokes, how did we get here? Well, you got there one connection at a time. So that's a beautiful way to illustrate the power of Kaizen.
Exactly.
So let's talk about the second element of the happy formula. And in my book, Turning Inspiration into Action, I explore how major life transformations and discovery of purpose seems to often come from devastation, an addiction, disease, a death, some disaster, some big crisis shakes your life. But I've used a happier way and discovered my purpose through inspiration. So how about you, Dan? Was there a specific moment or event or crisis or inspiration that revealed to you this purpose that you were meant to live?
I think I was thinking about that in the last couple of days before we got to this today. I've always kept a business, anywhere I work that issued me a business card, I've kept them all. And I've got about 30 business cards. And I'm only, just shy 60 years old. So it's almost like a business card a year. So I've been that guy in just this incredibly broad spectrum of industries. And as an entrepreneur, this is my fifth attempt at being an entrepreneur. And, I think that all of those jobs that I've had in my past life, a lot of my friends have had the same job for over 20 years. And yes, they have a great retirement. They love their jobs, and, good for them. I chose a different path, somewhat of a rolling stone, if you will, kind of a nomadic type life. I could do that. I was single with no children. But I think all of those past experiences got me exactly where I am right now. I am a culmination of, pouring concrete and being a HVAC contractor and a professional basketball player and, a copy machine operator. I mean, just all of that is, I'm drawing from all of those experiences to be where I'm at right now. And so I think for me, those relationships, those occupations have really helped me to think clearly about where I am right now. And so back in 2009, I started a home delivered produce company here in San Luis Obispo, California. And I was introduced to vertical farming. So I've been tracking vertical farming for about 12 years now. And about 3 years ago, what I saw was that industry just went very high tech. And they're usually in urban environments and warehouses. And as my wife would say, I do my best thinking about 3 a.m. typically. And about 3 years ago, I kind of woke up and said, oh my gosh, why can't we take all of these sub-assemblies, solar, hydroponic, vertical farming, and put it in a container and, transport it to those most in need. Yeah. And I literally, kind of got up the next day and started researching and seeing if there was anything out there and, what the opportunity for deployment is. And it was really only then that I understood, just how, the food industry is problematic. And certainly, like I said, before the pandemic, 690 million people go to bed hungry every night, every single night. They don't get enough to eat. And of that 690, 630 are on the continent of Africa. Yeah. And that number since the pandemic has grown by another 130 million people. Yeah. And we have people right here in the United States that are are challenged with food security, with going to bed hungry. And so, you know, we're not the end all answer, but we're going to be a game changer in terms of how people are able to go to bed and be nourished.
You don't have to boil the ocean, but if you can make a dent in the problem, that would be a fantastic end story. So this is really great so far, Dan, but let's take a commercial break, and I want to spread a little love for our awesome November sponsors, Dry Farm Wines and Happy Living. Mr. Happy Living here. I love good things made by good people. That's why I love Dry Farm Wines. I first met the man known as the healthiest wino on the planet back in 2016. He said his wines don't cause headaches or hangovers, and that he started his company because most wine consumed in the US is highly processed and loaded with unnatural nasties. Like most processed food, it's toxic. That very night, I made a big health decision: toxic wines out, natural wines in. It's been 4 years since I made the switch, and I feel great. Go to happyliving.com and select Partners in Happy to get your first bottle of natural wine for a penny. And I'll donate 8% of every order placed during the entire month of November to WYTV7. Share the gift of natural wine and pour some love this holiday season. And we're back, and this is the Something Significant show, and I'm Matt Gersper. Hey friends, do yourself a great, big, delicious health favor. Go to happyliving.com and select Partners to buy some Dry Farm wines right after the show. They curate delicious and all natural wines for me from organic, small family farms all over the world. Every night it's fun to open a different bottle of wine. It'll be fun and tasty for you too. But for now, let's get back to my guest star, Dan Melton. So Dan, I recently discovered an article called The Science Behind the Power of Giving. It was on lifescience.com. And it said, the act of giving itself can be a gateway to discovering your reason for being on the planet. It concludes that compelling scientific data supports the notion that giving one's time and talents and treasures is a powerful pathway to discovering purpose, transcending difficulties, and finding fulfillment and meaning in life. So I've updated the formula. Capacity plus purpose plus giving equals really happy. What do you think, Dan, from your own life experience? Has giving your time, talents, and treasures been a pathway for discovering your purpose and transcending difficulties that you've faced, and for bringing real meaning and value to your life?
Well, absolutely. I mean, I was fortunate enough to have two very engaging parents and four brothers. I mean, the family unit growing up was by far the best experience I could have ever asked for. And I'm, you know, blessed beyond words for my parents and their commitment to keep raising my own bar. So I think the ability to give it's easy to say, but hard for most to do. And I think it's because we look at our own situations, our own lives, and I think most people today feel like, you know, they're just don't really have much to give. I have found in this particular effort that I'm currently doing that the giving is, I think, feeding my purpose. And so it is, you know, again, it's almost like an effortless endeavor that I'm on, the energy, the commitment to make this product and deploy it to those who are underserved across the world is, you know, I think it's going to be my legacy and giving back to the planet that I've been living on for the last 59 years come this Sunday.
See, it's powered by love. That's the difference. So far in our conversation, I haven't heard you say anything about how much money you're going to make. Now, if this works, you're going to make a lot of money. But you know, what do you need? And what I've heard you talk about is creating opportunity to feed people who need to be fed. And that's powered by love. And that's the ultimate act of giving. And that's when you get into that infinite energy. And it doesn't have to be food, folks. It is simply finding the gifts that you were given and the purpose that you were given. And I think Dan stumbled upon his here late in his 50s.
I did, in fact. You know, I guess I would like to say, man, I wish I had come across this in my life, you know, 20 years ago. But you know, life's about timing, right? Life's about timing. So it's fantastic.
And if I might say, you wouldn't have been ready. So, and I almost brought this up in the last time, so I want to diverge just a little bit here. Have you heard of, do you know the power of Metcalfes Law? Do you know Metcalfes Law?
I do.
Okay, Metcalfes Law is the power of a network is related to exponentially related to the number of users in the network, right? And,
yes.
And it was originally explained, you're a Northern California boy. It was explained out there. I think the guys from Stanford. And it was explained using the fax machine. One fax machine is worthless. It's a paperweight. Two fax machines is more value. 10, 100, a million. Every one that comes on, the network becomes more valuable. Our personal experiences are the same way. And so your experience of doing cement, and you were also in the music business and an athlete, a pro athlete, and HVAC, and all the variety of things that you did are all part of your personal network. And that gives you the ability to wake up in the middle of the night and say, aha, I just need to put it all in a container.
Exactly. It was just like that.
But you couldn't have done that without all those experiences. And I couldn't have come up with that idea. I come up with other ideas. They're based on my experiences. So, and this one is, you know, all the other ones, it's similar. I've had a similar experience in my life. I've had jobs that I really, really enjoyed, but I finally came into what I think, aha, this is it. This is the one. This is my gift to the world. And I think that's where you're feeling right now with your vertical systems. It
totally is that, Matt. And again, you know, we're very lucky to kind of be in that spot, right? I think even people that aren't aware that they're not in that spot, in the back of their minds, in their spirit, they want to be in that spot.
Yep.
And maybe they just don't really know how to get there. But I totally believe that, you know, everyone has the capacity to get to exactly where I am in terms of feeling like, man, I've got this overwhelming desire and love and purpose, and, you know, to find it, to tap into it. Yeah, all my past experiences, my occupations, relationships, the good and the bad of Dan Melton, got me right here, right now. And I couldn't be any more enthusiastic or happier about it.
And what did you say your brother said about the upward?
Yeah, so always trend upwards, right? Always.
So that's the answer. If you're listening, Dan didn't find his when he was in the HVAC business, but it was a part of your path. You just keep going. That's I think you don't necessarily find it. I think it finds you, and it finds you by you staying engaged in your life and trending upwards. I like that.
No, totally that. I mean, who would have thought that some occupation I had 30 years ago would be instrumental in where I'm at right now? But the truth is, I wouldn't be here right now if I had picked a different path.
Right.
And I would say to those who are kind of in that maybe quest to find that capacity and purpose and giving, be patient, you know, because it might be a couple of steps further down the road before you stumble and before you have your own aha moment.
Yeah.
But I think we all have the ability to have the aha moment. And man, let me tell you, like I said, I go to bed and wake up every day like it's Christmas morning, and I know I got a bicycle at the tree.
That's fun. Okay, so that's the science of giving, and I agree. And I've experienced that wonderful feeling that comes from the fourth element of significance, which is doing work that creates value for others. I've experienced firsthand how the magic of life comes not from getting more, but from giving more. But it's more than that. And we've been circling around it here. It's not just the giving that's magical. What I've been learning, Dan, is it's when you're giving from living in your purpose. That's where the real magic is. So, Dan, tell us, how's it going to make you feel when you're giving to others through the work you were put on this planet to do, that makes you feel like it's Christmas every day, and you deliver a container farming system to a rural village that helps feed its underserved and malnutrition community, or you deliver another one after a natural disaster has disrupted the agricultural supply chain? How's it going to make you feel when you deliver on your promise to change how the world feeds itself?
Man, I mean, it almost makes me start to cry hearing you say that right there, in tears of joy. Really, it's going to be an epic moment to see, you know, this aha idea from 3 years ago actually land, you know, in the village in Kenya, or, you know, down in Louisiana after a tornado, hurricane. Yeah, it's going to be probably one of the best feelings I've ever had in my life to date. And I've had some pretty amazing feelings thus far. I know they're not over, but I mean, just, you know, as I said earlier, I'm talking to a bunch of people on the continent in Africa, and they are all just clamoring for this to show up. They want it there yesterday, because what also it can do, not only help feed people, but a lot of the countries in Africa are just now beginning to allow women to hold roles of entrepreneurialism and go get educated. You know, there's been some dramatic cultural changes on that continent over the last 2 decades. And so we're saying, hey, not only can we help feed the village, but now we can take a villager, preferably a woman, and say, hey, you're the keeper, you're the steward of the farm. And oh, by the way, the 2,200 plants you're going to get every 60 days, you only need 10 of them. You can take the remaining and then barter and raise your own economies of scale. And I mean, just the kind of peripheral attributes of the product, I think, are really limitless. We don't know what they are until we start getting them over there, but we're excited about kind of the byproduct, if you will, from just having it there is gonna, I mean, it's just, it makes me, it makes me feel amazing.
I love it. So purpose and giving, when you combine them, it makes this great big happy circle. Giving your time and talents and treasures is a powerful pathway to finding purpose, and giving from living in your purpose brings the profound joy that we see on Dan's face. Giving leads to purpose, and giving from purpose leads to joy. And that's the exponential power of the happy formula. Capacity plus purpose plus giving equals happy to the third power. And that's really, truly, deeply happy. Does that sound about right to you, Dan?
You're spot on there, Matt. That is a great description, and you're right. Those individual components are all interrelated, but the sum of happiness is those individual parts.
Good stuff. All right, my friend, let's wrap things up with the lightning round. I'll read a few of my very favorite quotes, and then why don't you respond to us telling what it means to you, first thing that comes to your mind.
Okay.
This is from Denzel Washington. It's not just what you have, but it's what you do with what you have. Who are you lifting up? who are you making better?
Yeah. So what comes to mind is just, first of all, I agree with that. It's not what you have. It's what you do with what you have. And again, I think it's, for myself, it is that complete feeling of purpose that I feel in my heart. I'm gonna take, I didn't invent any of the things that I've put together in this container, but putting those individual pieces together is what my secret sauce is to the world. And yes, we're gonna get it out there.
Almost every business that I've done in my life, Dan, has been what I call a mashup. And you know what a mashup is from the software industry?
Yeah.
And that's what you've done. It's a mashup.
Totally.
That's how many inventions or innovations are done. Okay, this is one from my past. I don't know the author. Once you get where you want to be, you're not there anymore.
Well, that totally goes back to trending upwards, right? Even on a daily, living your life on a daily way, when you reach your goals, the next day you better wake up with a goal that's just a little bit higher than the day before. And, I've tried to always be that person. And it's hard sometimes, missteps, miscalculations, they're going to happen. There's no way to avoid them. It's how you recover, how you respond. But yes, I mean, whatever I achieve today, I'm going to do more tomorrow for sure.
And the miscalculations, that's a part of your network. So all those failures and all those mistakes, those are all a part of what you can draw on as you move forward.
They are.
Yeah,
absolutely.
All right. This one's from Billy Joel, paraphrasing Socrates. The more I learn, the less I know.
Man, I can go to the grocery store anytime and get beautiful red tomatoes, right? Any time of the year. But I thought I knew so much about, food, especially when I had my home delivered produce company. But since I've started this project, I've learned that malnutrition isn't a problem with the land and the soil and climate change. It's a man-made problem. Mm-hmm. And sometimes it's a man-made problem by design. For example, in Syria, the proxy war going on, they're deliberately keeping food from all of those people to help drive them into almost, surrendering their will. If we got to eat every day, right? And so when you can manipulate someone's food chain, you quickly take power over them. So I mean, what I thought I knew about food and, humanity and supply chain has been totally disrupted. And to be, honest with you, it's been very disheartening what I've learned. And that just drives me even harder to try to penetrate, the current status quo and disrupt, and bring food to the local economies and communities around the world. When we were frontiers and moving across the United States, we always landed around food hubs. Johnny Appleseed, he migrated across and created food hubs. So, you always knew you could, if you got to the Ohio Valley, you're gonna be able to hang out for a couple of days, replenish with food, get necessities, and keep moving west. And it's totally changed. Industrial agriculture, the big, they control our food chain, and so there is a purpose with people now taking back the ownership of their own food. They want to know who grew it, how it was grown, the carbon footprint. I mean, all of those things just help support, the ideology of like, hey, help your neighbor out. And, I think the planet, I've said this for 20 plus years, there are two things that can help solve the world's issues: food and music. Because we can totally disagree on everything, but man, if I can sit across the table from you and have a good meal and listen to some some tunes in the background, then you and I can probably come to some common ground.
That's it. Right on. Okay, the last one from Goff. Whatever you can do or dream you can do, begin it. Boldness has genius, power, and magic in it. Begin it now.
Yeah, so I was very nervous about starting down this path. I don't have unlimited resources in terms of finances. And so any endeavor requires, some type of financial support, some burn rate. And so I was nervous in the beginning, but I reached out very early on to some mentors here in this community. And I told them my idea, showed them kind of some early paperwork, some, due diligence that I had done in the space. And everyone still from the very beginning, overwhelmingly saying, oh my gosh, Dan, you have to do it. This is amazing. And so, man, when you get that feedback, it's like, okay, I not throw caution to the wind, but man, it just tells me I know I'm on track for my purpose and what I'm trying to do. When you have every single person going, okay, I want to be a part. How can I be a part? That just fuels my fire.
Very good. All right, now folks, it's your chance to be a giver. If you can hear my voice and you were inspired by today's show with Dan Melton, please share a little love with our fantastic broadcast team by donating what you can to WYTV7. They're a 501c3 charity on a mission to educate, empower, and encourage. They do good works with your kindness. Dan, I just love your tenacity as a creative business guy, moving from the music studio business to installing HVAC systems to innovating how farming can be done to feed more people. And I admire your big, bold mission to change how the world feeds itself. I'm wishing you Godspeed with your vertical growth farming systems. And I'm so happy that you shared your entrepreneurial voice on our show today. Would you take just a minute and share any parting remarks you'd like to leave with our audience?
Well, thank you for having me again, Matt. I totally subscribe to your philosophy on happy living 110%. And I'm going to do my best to turn all of my friends onto your purpose, because then it just exponentially will permeate the planet. And so I just thank you for being here. And to your listeners, I would say, just stay focused, stay humble, know that you do have a purpose. There's a reason you're here, and you're gonna keep trending upwards and find it. It's gonna happen, and you too have the ability to have your own aha moment.
Yep, keep searching. Wonderful, thank you, Dan. And I also want to thank WYTV7 for hosting and promoting our show, so we can keep interviewing inspiring guests like Dan and reaching folks just like you, ready to create your own extraordinary lives. A special thank you to our sponsors for the entire month of November, Dry Farm Wines and Happy Living. Remember, the more wine you buy, the more I'll donate to WYTV7. So go to happyliving.com and select partners to send some wine as gifts for your family and friends too. Then pour some love together this holiday season. And most especially, thank you, viewers and listeners. You'll find links to websites and social media and all things Dan Melton. Find him, friend him, get more information on his innovative, self-contained farming system. It's really cool. And find out how you could become an early investor too. It's all available at verticalgrowth.farm. That's verticalgrowth.farm. From me to you, dear friends, I love you and I want you to be happy by living your life to its fullest. To believe as I do that a better self is always possible today and every day for the rest of our lives. I hope this show got you motivated and feeling super confident and bold, ready for action, ready to start discovering your unique and distinct reason for being on this planet, because that's how you're going to make your mark of significance on the world. And the world is waiting to hear from you. Till next time, I'm Matt Gersper, You are awesome. And this is the Something Significant show. And we're out.